The teacher. The teacher is the genesis of this program right here. I'd like to introduce myself before I get started. My name is Coach Eric Bradley. They call me the Fight Doctor. And I thank you guys for watching. And right now you're watching Master Boxing. And this is where we break the fight world down. Every week we break it down round by round. Now, I wasn't going to really get into a post with Timothy Bradley and Brandon Rios, Bam Bam for short. But I was online and I had a ton of notifications, and one kid asked me, how does a fighter make adjustments? And I thought about it and I said, well, you know what? Guys are out there and they still want to know questions. And maybe that's the role that I have to take, answering these questions because I can. I'm qualified, and it matters that you guys know whenever you're watching the sport of boxing, that you know as much as you need to know so you can break the fight world down and you won't sound uninformed, we'll say, for lack of a better word or term. I want everybody to have the benefit to truly understand our sport, because unlike football and basketball and boxing, you can sound like a complete idiot like they do when you're listening to people like, I don't want to call anybody out, but let's just say some of the guys that are out there on the major networks, and you want to view them as expert analysts, but they're really not. But they get paid to do a job, and you gotta respect that, because if you can get to that position and you're truly not an expert at something, then that says a lot about your talk game and proximity. You know where to be. The thing about this fight here with Timothy Desert Storm Bradley and Brandon Bam Bam Rios is this. The topic of this program today is the teacher. Timothy Bradley has incorporated one of the best teachers and educators in the sport of boxing. He did it week in and week out, even when he wasn't training people. He learned from the late, great Cus D'Amato, someone who I mimicked my knowledge after. Because if you want to be great, you have to follow greatness. And you have to be a great follower to become great. You can't just be ignorant, biased. You have to know what you're talking about. And if you do not know, make it clear that it's just an opinion. But you have to understand where to play the line. And in our field and in our world, whenever you toe that line, you better know what you're talking about, and you better be ready. One thing I told this young man, and I just finished responding, and for those who have made questions, and if I hadn't gotten back to you, it's only because I hadn't had an opportunity, because I have a flood of different social medias and real business that I'm dealing with, so I want to make sure that I get to you. So if I haven't gotten to a question of yours, leave it in the comment box and I'll be sure to get back to you. The repetition is the first thing that you have to make sure that the fighter is getting. You can tell someone something. You can tell someone whenever they're growing up, 7 plus 9 is, 56. But until you get the repetition, it doesn't stick in there. A lot of coaches, because there are more coaches today than teachers, they tell their fighters, all right, today we're going to work on this drill, and they work on a drill, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of repetition to execute and embody that program or whatever that drill is to fix this guy's weaknesses. Teddy Atlas has gone into Timothy Bradley's camp, and the first thing he did is erase his tendencies, which is the thing that shows him and shows a fighter that you're fighting your poker face. It shows him things he was doing, like telegraphing punches and giving the guy signals when he was going to throw, and he wasn't even aware of it. So the first thing he did is eliminate these things. That's what a teacher does. He observes and then he fixes all of the mishaps. The next thing I wanted to make sure, because the lessons are so important. Lessons and drills from a teacher Cus D'Amato did it to Mike Tyson. If you watch Mike Tyson, at the beginning of his career, he could have beaten anyone stylistically because he wasn't just a puncher. He wasn't just fast. He wasn't just a counter puncher. He was skilled. That's why he was beating these guys. He did 12 rounds several times early in his career. In those 12 rounds, he was winning every round because it was his skill set. Rebalta was 6'6". Mike Tyson's 5'11", really the body of a 5'10" guy, short arms, and Rebalta was Jose Rebalta, look him up. 6'6", a real 6'6", with no shoes on. That kind of guy. He could play NBA ball today and dominate at the 3 spot. Small forward, like nice jab, good right hand. He beat Carter Truth Williams. Tyson slipped by all of that. Timed him, connected, took him out of his game plan. They all had a game plan until they got hit over and over and over again because this was a skill fest session. So, the moment they clash in that ring is the next topic of discussion. The moment they clash is very important. That's why we have to discuss what happens. How do you prepare yourself? One of the most notable things, go online right now and type in Timothy Bradley training session, because he did a training session for the media for this fight, and you can see the difference in his body. He already was bodybuilder type, cut to the bone, vegan lifestyle. The thing he did different with Teddy Atlas is he's already prepared going into camp, because no one wants to train, like I said in the prior post, the biggest loser. You want to train someone who came to win. So that whole camp is predicated on executing these drills to the maximum. And in order to do that, you can't be focusing on having to lose weight. Go look at Timothy Bradley. Work out, train his body, internal muscle training. That's why I like Teddy Atlas, because he does a lot of things very similar to me. When I train my fighters, I train them from the inside. Dig deep into those fibers. So whenever the other guy gets into the ring with him, he feels the difference in the dexterity of the body, the skill set, the craft, the things you do beyond skill, the mental fortitude. That's what Timothy Bradley's taken into the ring. And if you watch them train, you can see the difference. You can look at 24/7, you can look at All Access, you can see these fighters training. But when you start training inadvertently inside the body, out, it's different. Timothy Bradley looks different. Go look at the video. And if you don't look at it, go to Facebook, like Master Boxing. Excuse my French, I'll have it on the page. And you take a look. It lasts about 8 minutes. And it's 8 minutes of truly understanding what a body has to go through to become a weapon. And that's what he's done. But when they clash in this ring, one thing you best know about Brandon Bam Bam Rios, because this post isn't about Timothy Bradley. This post is about a teacher in Robert Garcia. He's taken someone as rugged around the edges as Bam Bam Rios. No, most Mexican coaches who teach the Mexican style, they do not master movement of footwork. That's why you don't see many fluent Mexican fighters. Canelo and the Puerto Rican fighter in Miguel Cotto both have nice footwork. But it's a lack there of understanding that movement is why most of those coaches can't teach that, because they don't know how to do it themselves. Or the coaches have gotten to a point where they're overweight and they can't actually teach them and show them that fluidity. And that's why they say the other fighter's running. But what's truly happening is the other fighter just has more skill set than you, because footwork is a part of boxing. I mean, if someone was coming on you and they had a lot of power or a lot of speed, you got to offset that with foot movement, footwork. That's not running, it's eluding. It's a skill. And every fighter gets in trouble needs to know how to do it, like tying someone up. you better share this video because you know I'm talking the truth. And if you know boxing, it ain't running. It's eluding. It's a skill set that was taught. Ali did it. Sugar Ray Robinson did it. Willie Pep did it. Sugar Ray Leonard did it. That's how he got the victories. Would you rather leave with the L or the W? Because at some point in time, you're going to meet your match. Can you outthink them is the question. Do you have the skill set and the fortitude to overcome what they bring? The teacher needs to come into play when you're fighting a monster like Bam Bam Rios, because what he does not have in footwork is what cost him against Manny Pacquiao and Mike Alvarado. He should not have lost either one of those fights. But what he lacks there, he has when it comes to inside fighting. No one out there today has impressed me more on the inside than Bam Bam. Bam Bam on the insides is like Chavez. He's devastating. He throws combinations from the uppercut position. Pow! I mean, you can't fake that. You have to have the guts and the wherewithal to be able to do this first and foremost. To cut it short and to be precise, Brandon Bam Bam Rios is a freaking monster on the inside. And there's not a lot a coach can get you to do and teach you when you're in that kind of dungeon. Whenever you're in a dungeon like that, you have to know your deal. There will be a point in time that Timothy Bradley has to stand and fight. And he better know all that stuff that he learned, we'll know if it transpired over. He has a good defensive cachet. His offensive mindset is fight. But when you start fighting with Bam Bam Rios, you better know that you're going to pay a price. The thing about it, can he supersede that price tag he pays and handle the receipt? The teacher and the teacher. When the teacher teaches, the fighter listens. The fighter has to have an open mind. He can't be a resilient guy. I'm going to use a guy, for example, a Chad Dawson, a fighter who bounced fight coach to coach. The first sign that is that the fighter has a problem with listening and taking in information because he knows it all. It's usually the guys who have a lot of athleticism. They're hardest to teach because they feel like they know it all. And the difference between Timothy Bradley, Sean and Kenny Porter, Shane Mosley and Jack Mosley, now it's going to be Teddy Atlas and Tim Bradley, so I call them TNT. All of those guys listen. Coach Garcia was on the record saying the best thing about Maidana is that he listened to everything he said and he executed it as he was saying it. That's a fighter and a teacher that's going to elevate and reach pinnacles in the sport. And they've all made millions together because the fighter listened. You can't have too big a head. Floyd Mayweather even listened to his father. And you can see how humble he came and spoke to his father in the last round of his last fight, which was the last fight of his career. He spoke and he listened, and that's why he ended up undefeated, because even if it was Roger in his corner or his father, he listened. And that's a key thing in boxing. All of these guys had one thing in common. They all had teachers. So to answer the question that the young guy asked me about, how does a fighter make adjustment? He drills. He preps before the camp. He has a teacher and he listens to him. That's how you make adjustments. They call me the fight doctor, and I thank you guys for watching. This is Master Boxing. And this, if you didn't know by now, is where we break the fight world down round by round. Get ready. We're going to take it to the next level now. We're about to start our podcast, Master Boxing and Brooklyn Fights. So understand that what you're going to get there is going to be epic. So donate your time and make sure that you continue to contribute to the sport of boxing, making sure that people hear these posts, making sure that you're sharing, making sure that you're following, because we're giving you nothing but the funk. I'm out. Be blessed. Enjoy the fight. Rios, Bradley. We out. Shouts out to my boys at BrooklynFights.com. We're about to take it to the next level. Peace.